Hello everyone, I am Bhumica M, presently a legal intern under LEXIS and Company, a law firm. I am from Reva University, Bangalore, pursuing BLLB Honours second year. So today's topic for the discussion is Right to Education Act of 2009. So we'll be discussing how did this Right to Education Act come in and what are the constitutional provisions of it, and also we will be seeing various provisions of this Right to Education Act and few policies under it and what can be done to strongly implement this Right to Education Act in our country. So now let us begin with. So as we all know that education is the sword for the development of any country. Like it should be the root cause for the development of every country, because if you are well educated, you will be well employed, and if you are well employed, your income facilities will be very high, and your standard of living will be very high, and per capita income also will be very high, and the country's economy will in the form of GDP will go very high. So education is the very grassroots level structure where we need to bring more and more developments and policies and implements, and one such strategy is this Right to Education Act, which was brought out in 2009. So now let us begin with Article 21 of our Indian Constitution says that there is right to life and personal liberty. We all know that, right? So under this Article 21, Supreme Court in way back in 1993 in Unni Krishnan was a state of Andhra Pradesh. In this case, it has inferred another right, that is right to education as a fundamental right for every children. In this case, Supreme Court said that right to education is the fundamental right, that is the elementary education. So elementary means the primary education. So this was very fundamental. This was said in 1993 itself. So but this Article 21A was incorporated into our constitution by the 86th Constitutional Amendment Act, which was done in 2002. So our parliamentarians thought that this is very a big fundamental right which we need to put in here. So through 86th Constitutional Amendment Act of 2002, our parliamentarians added this Article 21A, wherein Article 21A states that all the states must provide free and compulsory education, that is the primary education, or you can call it as elementary education, for the age group of the children who are belonging to 6 to 14 years. So these 6 to 14 years of their age, in these years, they must be given compulsory primary education by all the states. Okay, so this was Article 21A. So to implement this further, to bring strong implementation, another legislation was passed out, that is in 2009. That itself is Right to Education Act of 2009, which came into effect in 2010, April 1st 2010 it came into effect. So what are the various provisions of this Right to Education Act is that this Right to Education Act explicitly states that children who are falling under the age group of 6 to 14 years, for them 8 years of compulsory education should be provided. 8 years of compulsory education, that too in their neighborhood itself. So this is the special provision which has been mentioned in this acts, because if their schools are placed farther from their far from their locality, there may be number of dropouts, right? The dropout rate will increase because the school is very far, and also it will be a factor wherein parents also will hesitate to send their children very far. So the act has made compulsory that they must get this elementary education in their neighborhood itself, or in their locality. It is where the schools are very near to their home. This is one special provision which is mentioned in this act. And then when next provision is that it lays responsibility on teachers. It lays responsibility on teachers to such an extent that it says that they are responsible for the enrollment of children and also retention. That means the attendance level also they should look into. How they will look into this attendance? If this child is not coming to the school like for 2 days or 3 days or 1 week continuously, they should reach out to their parents, call or go to their home and ask that why and what is the reason, to find it out, and also make sure that the child gets 8 years continuous from 6 to 14 years this elementary education. This is made compulsory, and also it lays very so much of responsibility to the teachers as well, and the admission should be given to them without looking into any documents requirement. The schools should not deny getting admitted that child into the school saying that this document is not there, like birth certificate is not there, or any like Aadhaar card is not there, anything. So that should not be looked into. And also one more clause is that this act gives that there must be age appropriated classroom admission. That means, like for example, if I am 12 years, I will be admitted to 6th standard. But if a school gives entrance exam and if I didn't do well in that exam and it gives admission for me to 4th or 5th standard, that is not true. Because like if I go and sit in that class and I see younger students than me and I am so elder to them and I feel so demotivated and depressed and I hesitate to go to school itself. So this clause was added into this Right to Education Act so that age appropriated classroom admission will happen. And also the other provision when we look into this is that all the private schools, if in any locality, if there is no government schools available, they made one more provision to combat this. That is, all the private schools should make sure that 25% of their enrollment ratio will be reserved for weaker sections of the society, where those weaker sections of the society can send their children to these private schools, and the cost of that education will be borne out by this their respective state governments itself. So this is the one of the most important thing which have been made. And also, so these are the various provisions which can be cited out. And then next most important thing is that there is one more policy in this Right to Education, that is no detention policy. That is, the child will be promoted. If he fails in 3rd standard, he will be promoted to 4th standard. If he fails in 4th standard, he will be promoted to 5th standard. So this type of retention thing will be done till he reaches 8th standard. Till 8th standard, no one should be detained. So this was a beautiful concept wherein we will say that okay, the child didn't learn in 3rd, so he or she will learn in 5th standard or 4th standard, with so whichever class they are promoted. So this was that no detention policy. But various surveys have been, or the reports have been brought out in the newspapers, saying that this detention policy has made the quality education getting decreased or deteriorated. So the central government made another amendment saying that it is left to the state governments, whether state governments want to follow this no detention policy or they can make this detention as such. So it is left to the state governments as well. So now let us end this discussion by stating how we can implement this Right to Education Act, a beautiful act which will empower and enlighten many youths or the kids of who are the future of our nation. So how we can implement this policy very well is that there must be more number of teachers getting employed in the government schools or wherever it is necessary, and also they must be trained like how to teach these kids and how to give skill development programs to them, vocational training to them. And also the enrollment ratio should be checked and good infrastructure should be provided. This is the basic thing. Big good infrastructure in the school should be provided. Big classrooms and technical classrooms should be provided, and smart classes should be also, if possible, made available in the government schools as well, and playgrounds and labs and such. So the infrastructure and equality education should be made sure that they are available in the government schools. So if this is looked into properly, all this Right to Education Act what has been made and the provisions and all can be implemented very smoothly. Thank you so much.